How are you?
Hello, Mr. Streiber. Thank you so much for joining us.
Gentlemen, it's my pleasure.
Not as much as it is ours. Let me calm down.
Yeah, please.
We're a couple of your biggest fans. Even though Dave was the point man on this one, I love you just as much as this man does, maybe even more so. So
Awesome.
I just was giving an introduction. We call you the king of the BTS. And let me tell you why.
Wow.
So many, when we watch your productions, it's like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my God, he has all this stuff going on. And then you produce these simply sublime photographs that you would know if everybody turned around and see the setup that produced all this, they will have no idea what it goes for you to make an Art Streiber photo.
Yes.
And we're all the better for it because so many photographers are afraid to show these things because they think like, my God, if I show this to you, you're going to steal my work or you're going to steal my clients. And you're not that dude. So thank you so much. We learn, and when I say we, I mean the collective photography community as a whole, actually learn just by looking at your BTSs.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, since we're there, let me just tell you that is an outgrowth. I've probably been lecturing for a dozen years, and the lecturing, it was really more, they were presentations, and the presentations were the BTS, and I would show 20, 30, 40 different pictures from behind the scenes from the shoots. And the idea was to show people what it took to put these things together. And I would take them through what I believed to be was, on any particular job, the most difficult problem we had to solve, or in some cases, 5 or 10 problems that we had to solve. And so that's what I was doing when I did these annual, semi-annual presentations. And then when Instagram started, I did what everybody else did. I took pictures of clouds and blue skies and stop signs and then I thought,
and flowers at an outrageously wide open aperture.
There you go.
Guilty.
Although wait, portrait mode didn't exist in 2010 on the iPhone. You know, pictures of the family or whatever. And then I just thought, you know what? I could show people like a before and after, a process. And so I just started doing it, and it kind of took on a life of its own. And I never set out to do anything other than share with people I knew what I was doing. But then it became this bigger thing where photographers from around the country and around the world were looking at it. And then all of a sudden there was ISO 12,000 and, you know, all of these other BTS sites where photographers started sharing some of their lighting technique. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I get asked about it a lot. And the questions I get asked are, do you write those captions yourself? And the answer is yes. And the other question I get asked is, why are you giving away so much information?
Wow.
And I say, and I'm sure you guys have had this experience, I am showing 1/10 of what went into the shoot.
Right.
I'm not showing you the pre-production. I'm not showing you what I was doing at my desk. I'm not showing you the image research necessarily. I'm not showing you negotiating with the client or the talent or the rental house. I'm just saying, this is what it was like when we got there. This is the lighting build that it took. So I'm happy to share that information because, you know, nobody did it for me.
Because
you know?
Even if you did show us 100% Art Streiber, soup to nuts, start to finish, we still wouldn't get an Art Streiber photo.
No, you wouldn't.
So it's amazing.
I don't know
special sauce
about
is your
that.
special sauce.
I don't know about that, but I will say that there's a lot that goes into it. Like
yes.
when the three of us are off this call, you guys are going to dive into the pre-production or the post-production on your last job.
Always.
Right? And that time and energy and effort and planning and making sure you have what you need and getting there and not having enough gear, not having the right gear, or dealing with difficult locations, talent, publicists, crew, whatever.
Even difficult sunlight.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Oh, let's not even imagine or let's not forget you're absolutely right. The technical issues. So this is really a slice of what it takes.
So let me ask you a question. I was watching some of the interviews because I have to be well versed in when we talk. And I found your story of how you got your first camera, went into the dark room and learned how to produce photographs. Mm-hmm. How did that little boy turn into who you are today? If you can give that us in a microcosmos of situations.
I love that question because at 9 a.m. this morning, I had a Zoom with a first-year photography student, and she was asking, like, well, why don't I know that? And I said, because you're 19, and this is a long haul here. This is what I said to her, and apparently I said this to her last year, was this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
And I thought I was going to be a photojournalist. I thought that's what magazine photography was that's what it was for me in the late 70s, early 80s. Because the truth is that kind of entertainment, portraiture, celebrity machine didn't really start cranking up until about the mid-90s.
Until the mid-90s, absolutely right.
Yeah, when the models left the cover of magazines and were replaced by celebrities.
Thank you, Anna Wintour.
There you go. That's exactly right. So I was, in a way, in the right place at the right time. I was in Los Angeles. My wife and I had just moved back here in 1993, and this thing started to gear up, and my portraiture evolved from people of note, like the teacher or the engineer or the chef, to more and more actors and actresses. And then in about 2001, 2003, CBS asked me to do their Mondo shoot. And back in the day, the network would assemble all of their on-air talent. And you were either building one massive set, or in our case, and we did this for 3 straight years, we built a set piece or two for every single show.
Right.
So we were taking over entire sound stages, and we were building an ocean or a carnival ride or an office building or an ice skating rink. And it was like a week-long production, shooting every single CBS show. I don't even know if you can find these pictures online. And
he can.
I can.
Wow.
These young kids.
Well, if you could send me a link, they're hard to find. And so anyway, I think it kind of snowballed, from there.
So let me ask you this. You do a lot of your productions on set, and as I do in my research, you said the best thing to do when you have the time is to get to your location 3-4 hours in advance, set up what you want, know where your son is going to be and all this stuff. We suffer through the same thing.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you this. Does your crew, I guess they would now, but does your crew understand the importance of the sun for you? Every time we do a shoot and we're going to involve somebody like, I need you at 12:15. This has to be ready by 12:15. And the hair and makeup are lollygagging and the stylist is lollygagging. I said, I need this person in this light at 12:15, ready to go. Do you suffer through that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I have made it kind of understood that I've done all my homework. I've done all this preparation. And when the crew gets there, like the crew call time is, 4 hours in advance. And I'm going to do 10 minutes with them. at the beginning of the day
Right.
and say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it, context, and this is how I think we're going to do it. And I expect my crew to say, you know, what if we did this and this? What if we used a beauty dish instead of a 7-inch? And I will say, oh my God, that's a great idea. Or no, we can't do that because of this. And
thank you for that lesson.
Yes.
yeah. And then literally yesterday we shot 2 days ago. We got into the stage and we were an hour late getting into the stage. We were at Universal because some of my crew didn't have their drive-ons and we lost an hour. And at 1 o'clock, I said, the creatives are going to be here at 3. And at 2 o'clock, I said, the creatives are going to be here at 3. And then I went to my gaffer and my grip and I said, what do we need to do? What if I do this and this and this? You guys do this and this and this. You guys do that. And then we'll do this. And then I'll start here and then we'll bring them over here. And you're constantly rolling with the punches. You know, you're constantly
Troubleshooting.
Yes, and troubleshooting in the moment. Yeah.
I always say photographers are problem solvers. That's all we do. We put out fires all the time.
All the time to get that magical image.
Yeah.
No, and you know what? Those lectures in the early days were called creative problem solving.
Wow.
That's what we are doing.
Yes.
Is creative problem solving. But you might have this idea in your head and you might understand the urgency. So it's not until you share that moment with your team where, like, the analogies are plentiful. It could be, you know, football. It could be a dance company. It could be, you know, a general going into battle where you're saying, okay, you guys, this is why we're here. This is what we're doing. This is how I think it's going to work. You got to get everybody on the same page.
By you saying that, that's
yeah.
amazing because we're walking to a shoot and we'll say, well, we're shooting, like they had a production, he called it Jane. He said, we're shooting this badass chick and we're doing it like this. And he gives them, he said, we're doing Charlize Theron or whatever. That's his.
Think this, think that.
Yeah, think
model, feel
right.
this. Look.
However, the why and why is setting up things. Like we're going to shoot the car scene here because the sun is going to be here at this time. I need you ready for this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That has.
Yeah. And
I've been at this for 30 years and I never thought about doing that. I just say we're shooting this right now, right here. And them understanding your why can make everything run much more smooth.
Absolutely.
Right. You know what, Dallas, you're absolutely right. Because if you think about the way a motion picture is shot, it's not shot in order. It's shot completely out of order for a reason. And the reason is either the location, talent availability,
the
efficiency, daylight. So I always say, you know, context is king, and getting people on the same page and hearing from my photo assistants, like, you know what, if we, you know, turn the seamless this way, then we can shoot it like this, then we can do that, we can bring the light here. And actually it was my first assistant, Evan Mulling, on this job yesterday, who said, you know what, we should probably share this set. And I thought, oh my God, you're absolutely right. We could just wheel in the gray, wheel out the gray, make the light the same, add the flare, and that's what we did.
We had a production. We assisted on the production last week.
Yes.
And the client wanted a lot of multiple color paper.
Yes.
But it was a baby Art Streiber set. And so when they got to the end, she says, I want to do this look, and it's going to be a different light setup, and then we can come back to this light setup, and then we can go back to that. I said, whoa. I said it'd be easy for us to do all your color paper first, and then when you switch to this lighting situation, and you're going to switch out the light, because it doesn't make any sense. We would have to break down the set, to rebuild the set, to break it back down, and to bring it back up.
It was like,
and I sat there and I said, oh, I'm going to have to veto this. And I'm the first assistant. I'm like, oh, no, we're not doing it that way. And they were like, why? And when they saw us breaking it down to after
a 12-foot scrim, it's like, that's not
12 by 12.
It's not going to be put down in 2 seconds.
And they want it done in 15 minutes. So
no.
I said, time out, we have to veto this. And the client, now I meant to whisper this to the photographer, but I just said, oh no, we're not doing that.
We can't do that.
I said, we can't do it that way. And I said, we can't I said, we can do it what you want, but we cannot do it in the time in which you want it done.
Yes.
Because it took us 3 hours, like you said, to set this up perfectly the way you want it. So you think we're going to break this down, do another light setup, and come back in 15 minutes? It's not going to happen. So.
Right. You know what? 2 thoughts. One is necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
You know, you're just rolling with the punches, which is why the Instagram feed Shitty Rigs is so great. Have you ever seen it?
Yes.
Insane. But part 2 is I have been in that situation. And if you, like, let's just say that they want 3 different colored seamlesses. I have put up 3 different colored seamlesses right behind each other. And either roll it down and roll it up, or roll them all down and then very quickly get rid of the red, and now you got blue.
But that was the easy part.
Yeah.
No, that was the easy part. We did that. The part was, once we break down the color, they wanted a completely different light setup.
So we have to
come back to the original light setup.
Yeah.
No, I said all the different color paper you want, we can do that.
Yeah.
But we are unable to change the light setup
how you want
to come back to this.
Yeah, no.
So let's shoot all your lighting setup, and I use the analogy, like when they do a movie, they don't shoot it in order. They shoot all the blue, they shoot all the green, they shoot all the white, and then we put it together.
Yeah.
So when you're not in the industry, they just think when you watch that movie, they shot it exactly as they see.
Yeah.
It's
very few movies that do that, because Kill Bill did, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? Like on the next job, it might be more efficient to do it the other way. You know, I am always approaching every shoot on 2 parallel tracks. One is the aesthetic, like what are we here to do? And the other is the logistical. And how are we going to do it? And sometimes they come together. And where they come together is where you get like the most efficiency, the most effectiveness. And don't forget, you still have to leave room for you to be a creative.
Right.
And for you to explore, oh God, I didn't even see that coming. Let's shoot that.
That's how we work together. He's the creative guy. I have to give him his credit. But I'm strictly logistics. I'm the one that think about how to make this all run as smooth as possible.
Yeah, he'll stop me immediately.
I was like, I like what you're doing, but you realize we have to get that car in the air.
I was like,
So let's figure out how we can get that car in the air.
Wow. You know what? That you guys are able to work that way. That's literally left brain and right brain.
Yes.
You know?
He's right brain all the way.
And that's huge, you know, because, you know, one of those, if you go all right, then you don't have necessarily any logistical sense.
Right.
And if you go all right. And if you go all left brain, you're, you know, at a loss for creativity. So that balance is huge.
Yes, that's what it is. Now in the beginning, he used to fight me on this. I'm like, no. I said, because he would think I'm trying to shut him down. It's like, no, I'm not trying to shut you down. I'm trying to think, you want the plane to disappear. Okay, we can make that happen. Let's find out how the most efficient way to make your plane disappear. And he'll go, I never thought about it that way. We were shooting his scene, and the lead was putting a body in the car.
Yeah.
So he's on the street. He said, we're going to shoot it right here on the street. Traffic going back and forth.
I didn't care. I was like,
I want my shot in the car, and I want to shoot like this. I'm like, how much of the car are we going to see?
I was like, not
much. I said, then why not just put this in the parking lot?
Which made sense, because I was in the trunk, so it's a perspective from the trunk. It made so much sense.
Put it in the parking lot. We don't have to put anybody in danger. He was like, oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, those I think Oprah called them aha moments.
Moments.
They're huge.
Or Tim Gunn, make it work.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right, I want to ask you, how did you get to advertising and editorial photography? Like, I want to understand, what was this is what I want. What was your calling? Like, why that?
What were the steps?
What were the steps?
Wow. There is another saying. I love the sayings. You know, luck is when preparation meets flexibility. I mean, opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes. So, so again, I think it was, you know, the right place at the right time where I was doing that editorial entertainment work. And, you know, I'd have to go back and look when the first TV gallery came my way, when the first movie poster came my way. And by the way, I am by no means, you know, the only guy or the guy. There are plenty of men and women who are doing this kind of work, and some of them are doing it like that's all they do. I, you know, dip in and out of it, and because I'm also doing editorial, I'm doing advertising, but it really is about being able to demonstrate, and I said this today to the college junior, sophomore, that it's really demonstrating in your portfolio or on your website that you are capable of handling something big. And by capable, I mean either aesthetically or logistically. You know, where what I said to her literally was, you are asking your client to entrust you with $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. And they need to be reassured that you are going to deliver. And then it's up to you to figure out how to deliver.
Let me ask you a question. I did a project for Paul Mitchell, and I had to fly out, and I had a really simple light setup. So the job was like $20,000, and I walked into the job, and my lighting setup was so simple that to the point that the client was like, why in the world am I spending $20,000 on this? So I took the first shot, and they came to the computer. They were like, oh my God, this is amazing. But I can still see them saying, why did I spend $20,000 for this? So now when I have a client like that, we do a dog and pony show.
Yeah, all the time.
We set up, it could be a 2-light setup, but we set up 7 outrageous, large modifiers. They don't shoot. They don't do
It's
anything. Almost like a scene out of Devil Wears Prada. And we're moving them around, and we're standing there, we're looking, and we're moving them around. And so I'll have them, you know, pop the transmitter, and I'll go, how do you like that shadow? And they'd be like, no, I like that shadow. And we're moving the bullshit lights around. So let me ask you this, and I don't want you to give away your secret. Do you ever have to do a dog and pony show for a client?
Wow, you know, I want to give you guys absolute props, but I think I want to give credit to an old assistant of mine, a dear friend. I don't know if he's here today. His name is Armando Gonzalez, and maybe 15 years ago, he said to me, you know, we were building something, and he said, I said, what is that light doing there? And he goes, oh, that's JFL. And I said, what is JFL?
Just
and
for
said,
looks.
that's just for looks.
Oh!
And I went, oh my God. And so I do a dog and pony, but I don't do it with gear.
Okay.
The dog and pony show that I do is literally walking them through everything and saying, all right, we're shooting this here, we're shooting this here, we got this here. But I don't know that I've ever encountered clients who were skeptical because there wasn't enough gear.
You'd be surprised. And to keep stuff, and I'm going to be honest here. Because of this complexion,
yes,
I'm not going to lie to you, this complexion has to play a different game than you would.
So when we do it, they always...
We can both walk in with a Hasselblad, but I have to walk in with a Hasselblad and a phase 1.
Yeah, or showing, or
okay.
That's the reality of being photographers of color. And I don't want to make this a racial conversation, but that's our reality. So
no, you know what? I appreciate that, and but I would love for you to eventually get to the point where, like you said, your very first example, which was you shoot it and they're like, oh my God. You know,
and to me, that's more impressive. Like, oh my God, you did that with this little amount of gear, as opposed to me having this whole show.
Right.
You know, so I'm spending $1,500 on rental gear that I'm not going to use just to make them happy.
You can walk into a studio space with 2 lights, and somebody else can walk in with 2 lights, and the exact 2 lights. And it is the subtle difference between the umbrella like this and the umbrella like this and the umbrella like this, and how you expose it and where you bring in the fill light. I mean, you know, you're right. It's a matter of your clients having faith, you know, and trust in you. But you guys got to do what you guys got to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about gear since we're playing these games. We watch your sets, we see continuous light, we see HMI, we see strobes, we see sunlight, we see it all. And you make it all mix into this beautiful gumbo of light. What is your go-to for yourself?
Okay, so I start every scene or setting or portrait or whatever with like an idea of what I think this thing should look like. And so I really want it to look like this. And what I told 3 interns ago, and it drives her crazy that I bring this up, is I said, look, these are tools, right? And you know, you're not like, the spoon can't do what the fork can do, and the fork really can't do what the knife can do, although they can kind of do the same thing. And then there's an entire set of knives, and then there's an entire set of spoons, and that spoon is serrated, and that spoon has little holes in it,
it's slotted,
to let the gravy drip out. So now you could take the gravy spoon and you could tape gaff tape underneath it so that the gravy doesn't drip. So the point of the analogy is having these tools at your disposal and understanding what the tools can do. But it's not about the tools. It's secondarily about the tools. It's primarily about, I want this thing to look like this. How am I going to get it to look like that? And always being open to the possibility that, oh, wait, we could do this with a constant source. Oh, if we get ourselves a 1x LED panel, then we could dial in color temperature, or we could dial in color. So it's we all have to be constantly aware of what these tools can do. And let's just start with the camera. Like, okay, we're gonna underexpose the daylight, and then we're gonna use the sun, but we're gonna make the sun work for us this way. It's about lighting control.
Nice.
Oh my
we
gosh.
love lighting.
We're all speaking the same language.
Absolutely.
Right. And you know what? That is really evident in your work. You know, I've looked at the websites, I've looked at the Instagram, and you can see where there is lighting control, right? You can totally see.
You about to make me cry.
No, seriously, like you look at your work, and you go, oh, wow, okay. They know what they're doing. They're painting with light, as Nick Franken just commented. And they're bending the light to their will.
To their will.
You know, like that's the thing. The light is here. Like, how are you going to make it do what you want?
Do what you want it to do. Exactly.
Right.
Well, when I walk into a set, the first thing I want to tell myself is, and this is, I don't know who taught me this, but it's years ago. It could have been Jill Greenberg, I guess. And it was like, when I walk into the door, my first thing is, what emotion do I want to convey by taking this photograph? The second thing I say is, do I want to commit that to hard light or soft light? And then my last thing is, how do I want to create that hard light or soft light? And I walk into the door that way every single time. And that will constitute the type of light I'm going to use, the type of modifier I'm going to use. Am I going to use a softbox or an octabox? Am I going to
tell a story with light?
Exactly. And that's the only way I can do it. I can't walk in any other way.
And you know what? My approach is identical. And years ago, I don't know if you've heard of the Palm Springs Photo Festival. I've lectured there for about 8 years. And when Jeff Dunas, who runs the festival, first asked me to lecture, he said he wanted me to come teach a lighting seminar. And I said, I don't want to teach a lighting seminar because my light it's situational, right? It depends on, like you said, the emotion, the mood, the space, and
the person
and the story you're trying to tell. And I can't tell you how many situations I've been in where I've said, that doesn't feel right for this, you know?
And you tell it to someone and look at you and they go, what do you mean it doesn't feel right? It's like, when he first worked with me, I set up a light situation and I stood in front of the light and I closed my eyes.
Yep. And he like, it's not
and I'm
right.
like, it doesn't feel right. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, raise it a little bit, please.
So I raise it.
And I stand there and I look at and I'm like, that's what I want. Okay. And I can't, I don't know when that came about. I don't know how to teach that. But that's why, so I understand the understanding of it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And not only, let's just take something really basic, like hard light, okay? And a hard light right over the camera feels like paparazzi. It feels like a party. It feels like on-camera flash.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we have internalized, what we've collectively understood about that light.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The minute you take that hard light and put it over here, that is a spotlight. It's the sun with the right amount of fill. It's just something. It's something different.
Completely different. Exactly. Yep. If I bring it down to that same place, it could be a flashlight from a police officer.
Yep. Put it at the bottom, and you look like a horror scene.
Exactly. We know that. Yes.
All right.
Right. Right. So you're walking into that portrait sitting or that whatever with like kind of an emotional mission, you know, like what should this feel like, you know, and you're also trying to answer the lighting question from a is it supposed to feel natural? Is it supposed to feel lit? Is it supposed to feel like I was here? Is it supposed to feel like I wasn't here?
One of my lines is, do you want this to feel stroby? Like, no.
You want stroby? Do you want
this is too stroby for me.
Right. No, that feels too stroby. No. Turn that down. Bring up the ambient, whatever it takes.
You did a whole series of college students in their rooms. I watched one of the interviews with this young lady, and she was shooting her daughter, and you was like giving a one-on-one, and you showed a bunch of college kids in their dorms, and it was like,
it was beautiful.
Oh my God!
Those environmental portraits.
Portraits. You give me rise. I do beauty and fashion, but every time I see your work, it makes me want to go throw all the stuff out the way and say, I'm going to do environmental portraits now. So thank you for that.
Yeah. My pleasure. And you know what? That's like, just think about college kids in their dorms, right? And you think, okay, there's probably one window. Yep. And you have a decision to make right there. And that decision is, you could come in there with like a hard flash and make it feel like this, kind of intrusive, like deliberate thing, which is amazing.
Right.
Or you could just go, all right, I'm going to use the window light. And that just is a totally different
story.
Feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you can bring in that one light and come in one stop above ambient, and it's a whole new ball game.
Exactly.
You shot one of my favorite shoots of yours. You shot Chad Boseman. I want to know, how was it that day? I just want some more insight. I love the photos, love the BTS. He's no longer with us, but I absolutely love those photos, and I want to give me some insight on how it was working with them.
I had photographed him once before with Ryan Coogler for Variety in anticipation of Black Panther. And but this was a Vanity Fair portrait, and he was so deliberate and giving and comfortable in his own skin, so that that smile in the one setup was completely real, and the intensity in the other setup was completely real. And I feel that he was okay with himself. You know, he had the self-confidence to just be. And I cannot tell you, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, how many actors and actresses do not enjoy the still photography process.
Yes. It's a different,
right?
it's a
Because
different...
when they work, they are usually, they are always inhabiting a role. They've got blocking. They've got an emotional range to hit. They've got lines to remember.
They got movement.
They got movement, and they're being directed, and they are pretending to be something else.
Right.
But when you get them one-on-one and you're just asking them or expecting them to be themselves, they
don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do. And I've had countless actors and actresses say to me, just tell me what you want.
Tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do. They want to be directed. You know,
Right.
they expect to be directed.
Yes.
So just knowing that or realizing that is a huge leg up for all of us to go, oh, right, I can't just expect them to perform.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be walked through.
So you have to get in the same situation as you give your crew.
Yes. But a different version of it.
Of course. For their point of view. Got it.
Right. And you have to be comfortable talking to them. And with Chadwick, he just was. You know, he didn't need, it became very conversational, you know, and which I think is another great kind of insight into taking these kinds of pictures. And I don't know if you have heard the saying, treat celebrities like real people and treat real people like celebrities.
Like celebrities, yep,
Yes.
all
Right.
the time.
Yes.
So if you're going to go shoot a chef, then do your homework and talk to them about their work. And like, how did you get the perfect cup of coffee? Like, what is your process like? And people, by and large, like talking about themselves.
Like we're doing with you. We did our homework and I said, I have nothing to say. I just want to just watch them talk. So yeah, a lot of people don't do their homeworks. So you've been around and you've watched the evolution of photography.
Yeah.
You've been for film, you crossed over into digital, and now we're crossing in this whole new world. How do you feel about, because you're an old timer, how do you feel about the world of photography today? Especially with the young kids coming up, and they're wanting to keep it raw and real. Where back in our time, we wanted glitz, glamour, and gloss.
Well, first of all, I think there's room for both.
Yes.
There's definitely room for both. But I think that there's the younger photographers shooting today that are shooting raw and not necessarily shooting with light are bringing us back to where we all started. And like, I'm looking at the work of incredibly talented young photographers in magazines and saying to myself, oh, right. You don't need all of the trappings, right? To do beautiful work. I want to make sure that they are also lighting and, appreciating the light and knowing the light in their world of ambient or available light. When you guys started and you had to expose chrome, which was not forgiving at all, right? And
that's all I shot it. That's all I shot.
We started transitioning into neg, and negative film it was more forgiving. It had more latitude.
Yes.
And now, digital and the iPhone gives you 12 or 14 stops of dynamic range, right? So it's a lot easier because the camera's doing a lot of thinking for you to get a beautifully exposed image. So now the question is, okay, is it beautifully composed? Does it have an emotional component? Is it compelling? Will it stand the test of time? there are hundreds of thousands of great photography of great images out there that weren't lit with strobes, weren't lit with
Right.
hot lights,
Yeah.
right? So I really, really, really believe that there is room for all of these different points of view and these different aesthetics. And I am utterly and completely enamored with and learning from what the kids are putting out there. But I think it's also fair to say that the emergence of this new aesthetic dovetailed with a decrease in budgets, right?
Yes.
So a lot of, you know, younger photographers just don't have the budgets that existed 15, 20, 10 years ago, and are, for lack of a better term, making do or working with a different set of tools than we had to work with back
in the day. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Never even given that thought process.
Never thought about it. Who are some of your influences?
Who
Who are
you
some
beat me
of the
to it?
photographers that you look up to when you were coming up?
Richard Avedon, Irving Penn, Elliot Erwitt. Oh my God. I loved the great photojournalists. I loved the great portrait photographers. You know, Annie Leibovitz was a huge influence on me. Mario Testino, you know, God.
Dallas Logan.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I was just devouring magazines from, God, I've been devouring magazines for the last 40 years, you know, and, you know, Pamela Hansen and, oh my God, I'm going to draw a blank. Kurt Anderson and Dan Winters and...
Oh, Dan Winters, yes.
Yeah, you know, like people who were like back in their day, like just pushing and pushing and pushing and trying new things and were unafraid to, you know, try something that had never been done before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. Every photographer has this. What image, even to this day, upon viewing it, can bring you to tears? And why?
The portrait of, or the photojournalistic moment by Nick Ut of the Vietnamese children running away from the napalm strike. Wow, Dovima and the Elephants.
You know that shot, yep.
You know, just these pictures that like just stand the test of time.
Yes.
And really just like hit you and continue to hit you. Yes. And continue to hit you.
You gave me goosebumps over the photos you told us because we know these images.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, Avedon's Beekeeper. Mine
was Gordon Parks on the bread line when he's reaching through the window. The woman's holding the baby. I'll send it to you, and you know the shot. Yeah, you know the shot.
Absolutely.
It brings tears to my eyes every single time. Yeah.
Dorothea Lange.
Oh my God, Dorothea Lange. Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Eisenstadt. Like, you know, those pictures, and the ones that hit me, and the ones that are probably hitting you are the ones from early in your career development where you saw something for the first time, and it had this visceral reaction. You had this visceral reaction, and it's those pictures that stick with you, you know. And the more pictures you see, the harder it is to be, you know, caught dead in your tracks, you know. But there are still images, you know, a couple a year, and it's usually news photography. It's usually photojournalism.
Yeah.
That stick with me.
Yes.
Wow, that's a good question.
Like my question?
That was.
I was watching interviews, and I'm not gonna lie, they weren't asking you the questions that were hitting us.
You want to know about
you want to know
art.
these things.
You don't want to know about the technical. You want to know about art. You want to understand.
No, I am. You know what? I am equally fascinated with you guys and your career. I really believe that, you know, this is a sharing, collaborative discussion, but you guys ask the questions.
So
yeah, the floor is yours.
I want to know what was one of your favorite shoots, because when I look at your work, I'm like, oh, this is my favorite.
Oh, this must be his favorite.
My favorite.
Exactly.
Oh, this is my favorite. You see how you did that? Oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. Who was your favorite shoot, or what talent was amazing to work with and you enjoyed it so much and you can't wait to work with them again?
Wow. You know, I'm going to answer that question by also answering the question that's on the screen right now.
Yes. The funny moment.
And I'm going to give you like this huge scale change, which is the Paramount 100 was probably a defining moment for me because the scale was just outrageous.
Yeah.
You know, outrageous. You know, I had never done anything that big before, and I haven't done anything that big since. And that was weeks of preparation, 4-5 days of pre-lighting, you know, hoisting strobe after strobe after strobe into the rafters on the sound stage, stage 34 at Paramount. And that was one of my favorite shoots because it came together, you know, and it was just so staggering to contemplate it. And I'm looking at it right now, and that it actually worked. And that I still have an emotional reaction to it.
Nice.
But then if you scale all the way down to the portraits of Lady Gaga in her garage, that was one light and one Schmidtly backdrop and one stool and this incredible person in front of the camera who just gave and gave and gave and gave and gave in one outfit over the course of 50 minutes. You know, like I love the Chadwick Boseman shoot, but it was a more of a typical fashion shoot where we did probably 5 outfit changes in 5 different situations. But with Gaga, it was one outfit in one place, and she just delivered and delivered and delivered. And I didn't appreciate it until we were driving away, and I had 2 interns in the car, and both of them said to me, "We were crying while you were shooting." And I said,
"Wow,
what are you talking about?" And they said, "Just seeing you and her working together and creating all of these different variations was really emotional." And I didn't really appreciate the images until I got further and further away from them. You know, which when I come back to some of my work, that's when I really appreciate it. You know, I don't know that I appreciate it in the moment. I don't know that I appreciate it after the final images are finished by my retoucher. I think I need a little bit of distance.
Sometimes you do need that.
I think for me, those photos were amazing too. Like the whole BTS of it. But the photos, I saw the photos first, and I was like, ooh, Gaga, you know, all right, this is incredible. This is beautiful. And then I saw the BTS, and I was like, oh, they made magic, and it's so simple, and it's so beautiful, and it's so. And I'm like, I don't know. For me, it's always different to see two people I admire work together, and it felt like we were there watching the BTS. So I literally was like, this is great. It was amazing work. Kudos to you.
Let me ask you this question. Anyone that you haven't shot dead or alive that you could shoot right now, who would it be?
Wow. You know, just like iconic personalities, you know, iconic people who, like, I'm not I'm not going to say to you, oh my God, I've never photographed Julia Roberts. You know, I would love to, but I am actually kind of a news junkie and a history junkie. And I would, you know, much rather, you know, dig into doing a portrait of, you know, Kamala Harris, whom I've never photographed. That's not really true. I did do a portrait of her and her husband a couple of years ago. But I would rather dive into a series of portraits of, you know, people who are actually making a difference, either in California, Los Angeles, the country or the world. Like I don't have a list of movie stars that I've never worked with. You know, I'm always fascinated by, you know, what's new and different. And I'm really much more intimidated by the prospect of photographing somebody that has been photographed a lot, or somebody that, you know, is a legend. You know, like I remember specifically for a number of years, I was very fortunate to work backstage at the Academy Awards. And, you know, I'd see younger movie stars go by and I'd photograph them. And then I turned and there was Sidney Poitier and standing in the shadows. And I just, it was all I could do to like frame the picture, you know, because somebody like, you know, Mr. Poitier is like, first of all, I'm going to call him Mr. Poitier. He's just, you know, a legend. He's got just this mythic status. So that's what really intrigues me.
Okay.
Nice.
And our interviews are almost over. So I'm going to ask you one more question before you go. When are you going to start doing movies?
You know, that's a really good question. And I'm like just really dipping my toe into like longer narrative motion. But I am really impatient and I push my crews and I want to get a lot done, and just slowing down to do a television episode or an hour-and-a-half feature. I've got to really I've got to find that for me, because I've really developed this skill set and this interest in getting as much as I can. And I've had a lot of talks with my dear friend and longtime executive producer, now agent, Elaine Brown, about just slowing it down. And the proof is the Lady Gaga stuff. You know, I wasn't there to do, you know, 10 setups and, you know, 5 outfit changes.
Right.
That really is the proof of, you know, really exploring a personality, exploring a story, exploring a narrative, telling a story. So that's out there, but I've really got to wrap my head around it.
All right.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this interview, sir.
One more thing before you go, we got to have a nice thumbnail of you. So we need a 5-second pose
and a 5-second hold.
5-second hold.
So on the count of 3, you're gonna give us your 5-second Art Streiber pose.
Ready?
All right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, look, classic.
Thank you. Oh my God.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, you guys crushed it.
No,
Thank you.
crushed it.
We appreciate
Anytime.
you.
We appreciate you.
Thank
If you
you so
ever
much.
need any help, we
in
in Los Angeles.
All right. You know what? Now that we're allowed to socialize, we are going to get together.
Oh my
Let's
God.
do it.
Yes, we can definitely do that. You have a wonderful day. You have a wonderful weekend. Please keep taking those amazing photographs.
Keep
and
inspiring us all.
Keep showing those behind the scenes.
And keep being great.
All right.
Look
You know what?
forward
You
to
guys are an inspiration. I'm going to look and see if the BTS from this last round of, from yesterday's shoot is available to me in my archive. And I will put something together with you guys in mind.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much. We
thank you,
love
thank
you,
you,
man.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Please stay
Thank you,
wonderful,
guys.
and you have a great, great weekend.
Anytime. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.